Boxing News. We are live, and I want to talk to you guys about a nice little promising scrap with fighters, former WBO heavyweight champion Joseph Parker, Spidey himself, and the hard-to-kill, no-nonsense competitor, Derek Del Boy War Chisora. You know, this is the second fight these guys will be into, and I want to talk about it. I'll let the chat load. I just got the car washed. I'm headed to the park. So, you know, beautiful day. It was a little chilly today. Now the sun's out, you know. So I'm just cruising. Just cruising, man. So feels good to be cruising, man. I cleaned the whip up nice and spotless. Got everything like I need to. Got me some water. I'm still in recovery mode because I still got bronchitis. So, you know, if you hear me coughing, it ain't COVID, all right? It's something. It's COVID's big brother, and his name is bronchitis. So let's see here. Daniel Simpkins, what's up, brother? Crisis of blood. Hope you're good. Cruising, bro. Absolutely. Let's hit that like button if you guys come in. But we got Chisora, we got Parker. In this case, we got Parker and Chisora. You know, I want to talk about the aftermath, first of all, from the first fight. You know, let's go at it. Let's talk about it. Derek Chisora, everyone know, or everyone is pretty sure that it was a bum deal. He had a bum rap on that fight. We know that Derek Chisora did enough to win, even though he was the older fighter, even though he was the tiring fighter. He still did more than Joseph Parker. Okay, in the fashion that he did it in, it was impressive. You know, it was like an older fighter that's showing a younger fighter with his style that he's better. Okay, that's what I saw. Kim D'Ambrosis, Parker team. Hey, I hear you. Parker needs to prove something. You know, because he got dropped in the first round, right? I know he hurt Chisora, I think, in the 11th or the 12th, or maybe both. But he couldn't have won the fight the way they said he did. There wasn't points deducted, so I'm thinking, like, what were the judges judging it on? Because Chisora did enough to win. You know, make that what you will. Chisora did his thing. And I think the politics of the boxing game made a decision to pick Parker. Parker, the ex-champ. Parker, the younger fighter. Parker, the better record. And I think because of that, they decided to give Chisora give him the cold shoulder. I think I need to go on the other side. Yep. Not a lot of people on the lake today. That's where I'm headed. I want to see Parker versus Fury. Unfortunately, Kim, that won't happen. Skrilla 50, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Skrilla 50 in the building. Yeah, because Parker and Fury won't happen because, you know, Parker is officially a part of Tyson Fury. So if you guys haven't known that, he's never going to fight Parker. He already said it. Tyson Fury said he'll never fight Parker. Now, they asked Parker, would he ever fight Tyson Fury? At first, he said no. But then for the right amount of money, he said, oh, well, you know what? It has to be a lot of zeros before making that the case. So, yeah, Parker will fight him, but for a price. It has, you know, it has to be for those greenbacks. But normally, they're not going to fight each other, you know. And I think that's kind of a bum reel because, you know, Parker is a quick, shorter, smaller fighter, which I'm thinking, I'm convinced that The person that can give Tyson Fury problems is a shorter, faster fighter. A Steve Cunningham, a Alexander Usyk, those type of fighters. Joseph Parker is one of those type of fighters. He's fast, he's quick, he doesn't have much pop, but hey, he has enough pop to, you know, to knock people the hell out. He's a heavyweight, right? He went to war with Dillian White and Derek Chisora. You know what I mean? Better yet, I'll give you something else. How about this? How about we put Parker in there with Alexander Usyk, since Parker's a smaller heavyweight, and let's see what the outcome is. Let's do that. T. Porter, counterpunch to you. What's going on? Definitely be on point with boxing. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Parker versus Joyce. That would be a good fight. Why not? I would like to see Parker versus Joyce. You know, Joyce is fun. It's so funny though. Joyce is like this big, gentle giant, but in actuality, he's the guy that's older. He's a lot older than a lot of those guys. He's 36. Joyce is like this guy. He puts you in the mind of a younger guy, but he's actually the older guy out of the out of a lot of fighters, including Tyson. He's the same age as Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury, Joseph Parker, Anthony Joshua, you know, all those guys. He's older than all of them. Usyk's 34. All these guys, you know, the good thing about Usyk did what he set his mind out to do with the time that he had. And that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. Because like when you get to 35, 36, and you're still sitting around with wishes, you know, with no execution, no game plan, you know, that's bad. That's not a good sign. That's a terrible sign. That's a terrible sign. Do a little backing up. But Usyk, you know, I mean, he knew, hey, I don't have time to mess around. That's why he put pressure on the WBO the way he did. Sunroof, United, windows down. Let's counterpunch people. Okay, let's see, comments. You think Wilder will come back? You think Wilder comeback gonna matter? Yeah, I think Wilder will, because see, here's the thing about Wilder. Wilder is a marketable guy. Now, when I say marketable, he's a guy that people want to hear from. See, when you got haters, you have automatic supporters. See, people have to understand that when you have haters, you have people that watch you to lose. Now, he's not on the scale of Mayweather or nothing like that, but he has enough people that hate him or can't stand him to want to watch him, to see what he does. And every time he says something, people listen. Either it's off the chain or it makes a lot of sense or good or bad or whatever. People are going to listen, okay? Deontay Wilder is one of those guys, if you have a mouthpiece, if you can promote yourself, you can make money and you will be successful. Look at Adrian Broner. If Adrian Broner only won fights instead of staying in and out of jail, he would surpass Floyd, because he did things that Floyd didn't even do. Floyd didn't drink. Floyd didn't make sex tapes. Floyd didn't Floyd didn't do a lot of those things. He didn't party like that. Floyd he might have hosted a party, but how many times have you seen Floyd Mayweather drunk? Versus Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner will be drunk off his ass. You know, he'll speak his mind. He'll say what's on his mind. He was basically the new hybrid version of Floyd Mayweather. But he lost. You know, he had the talent. It ain't like he couldn't fight. He was tough as shit. He had the Mayweather thing down for what we knew, right? Until Marcos Maidana foiled that, right? So, I mean, if he would have done that, but now you had Wilder knocking people out. Yes, he got beat. Wilder did get known for ludicrousy. Um, like the excuses, that was bad for him, but he had enough people that kept that afloat, that it kept the perception alive of what could have happened, right? So by the time the third fight, it just came out of nowhere. By that time, and then see, Tyson Fury screwed up. So Tyson kind of helped him because Tyson came out with the COVID shit. So it was a big shit show. It was a big shit show. And then people were looking for Deontay Wilder to knock out Tyson Fury, because we've seen Wilder actually training and stuff like that. You know, and we've seen him. You know, he's a very Wilder is a very interesting character. He's very emotional. He brings you, if anything, intensity. Okay, so his stock didn't drop at all. People want to see Wilder, what he does, especially the people that wanted to fight him that they couldn't fight him. So, you know, Wilder's stock went up even in a loss due to how he fought with heart. Yeah, that's people are going to respect Wilder for that. You know, if he wouldn't have said no love, I don't respect you and all that shit at first, he would have been on top of the world. He would have just been in a very good fight. It's been like a heavyweight version of Ward versus Gotti. Somebody got to be the winner. Somebody got to be the loser. In this case, he was the loser. But if they had multiple knockdowns apiece, you had 3 knockdowns to 2. At what point would you say, oh, Wilder sucks? Dude, he got 2 knockdowns out of 3. Leave the man be. Like, yo, it was a good fight. You know what I mean? So you think you think Showtime ain't gonna want to see him again? You think Al Heyman gonna see? No, I don't think I want to see Deontay. No, he's gonna want to see Deontay. 800,000 pay-per-view buys or more? Nah, that's a success, bro. Matter of fact, that's more than both of their combined fights, 1 and 2 altogether. See, the first fight was like 325,000, and I can't remember what the second one was. So, yeah, he a wild boy. AB finished. Yeah, AB. And then to see at this point, he's done so much. I think he's just doing it for the money. He's not even doing it to kick some ass. He's doing it to just make some cash. Bars. Lee Foster, I'm doing all right, man. I'm probably at about 78%. I hope to be in the 80% on tomorrow. Still doing a lot of coughing and stuff like that. I knew it wasn't COVID, though, because, I mean, I just had COVID a couple months back, and it doesn't work that way. I got an antibodies test. I'm full of antibodies. So when I start feeling shitty, I was like, okay, either I got a common cold or I'm catching bronchitis again. And I tell you, anybody that will listen, bronchitis, like COVID has nothing on bronchitis to me. So I can only speak for me. So boxing needs fighters like Wilder. Just don't know what you're going to get when he fights. Well, you're going to get a lot of wild shit, and if he hits you, you're going to be on the floor. So you pretty much know what you're going to get. If Wilder hits you with that right hand, you know, if he, and I at this point, I think maybe they're too proud to understand what they need to do. Now, if Malik starts preaching, hey, he needs to lose weight, we need to get the vintage Wilder back, then he may be onto something. But until then, no. Gray, what's up, brother? Counterpunch from you. COVID is not bronchitis. It sure the fuck ain't turpentine. I could tell you that. I was better off with COVID than bronchitis. I suffer with sinuses all the time. Wilder has been the top American heavyweight for years. His time looks over now, though. I don't know. I don't think it's over until it's over. A lot of people they thought was over. They thought Mike Tyson was over in the 90s. He came right the fuck back. I mean, they think a lot of fighters that are actually over and done with and Oh, he ain't gonna. You don't know what this man's gonna do, because in boxing it only takes one punch, and that man has that one punch. So before people start saying, "Hey, you know, this guy's finished" or whatever, I say AB's finished because AB's been beaten by a lot of guys. Mikey Garcia, Marcos Maidana. Who else has he been in there with and he got beat by? Manny Pacquiao. Jesse Vargas. He drawed with Jesse Vargas. Got to go early today. Good luck with stream. Kim, appreciate you. Wilder needs to fight Frank Sanchez, pass the torch to the next American Hope. I doubt that shit. They ain't that crazy though. That ain't gonna happen. Frank Sanchez fighting Deontay Wilder, I don't think, no. That's a banana peel. Because Frank Sanchez is one of those guys. I mean, Wilder's dangerous. Don't get me wrong. Wilder, to this day, he's gonna be dangerous. But fighting somebody like Frank Sanchez, no. Because Wilder, what's going to happen, you're going to go round after round. Wilder's going to be looking for that right hand. And that right hand, you know, you're going to be looking round after round for Wilder to do something. And all you're going to see is Frank come in and get out. Come in and get out. Just a tough all-around humble guy. Wilder should get used to their heavier weight and keep working on the jab and the body and set up the right hand. I guess he needs to lose the weight so he can move like he used to. Wilder could move, man. Wilder wasn't no slow fighter like we saw. You can't blame all that shit on a punch to the ear. He was slow anyway. He wasn't fast. He wasn't quick, like, you know what I mean? He wasn't doing that drill shit, that training drill shit with Malik Scott in that fight. But you know, that's that. But back to like Chisora and Parker. Listen, let me tell you guys something. If I'm Derek Chisora, I wouldn't even want to fight. I wouldn't even want to fight Joseph Parker again. Because if there's if there is a close fight like it was, Chisora's going to lose another decision. Wilder should get Reynoso. Wilder ain't getting nobody but Malik Scott. See, he stood on the hill by Malik Scott now. So there's no way he's changing anything. He's talked about family, he's talked about love, he's talked about brotherhood. He ain't getting with nobody else. No. He's staying with Malik Scott until he leaves. Like Malik Scott said, they're gonna be on an island somewhere smoking cigars, which is a great thing. You know what I mean? They can sit back and talk about all the wars and the experiences together. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. I think that's a beautiful feeling. Both guys are rich. You know, Wilder's made him rich because he's joined Wilder. Wilder's making some cash now. It's a great thing, man. You know what I mean? Win, lose, or draw. Let's say Wilder knocks out the next 3 of his opponents and then decides to retire, and then they're on that beach and they're sitting there and they're talking about the fights and everything, the possible fights, the fights that never happened, the fights that did happen, the fights that they won, the fights that they lost. They have a lot to talk about. You know, they talk about the dive. They got a lot of things to talk about. You know, that's a beautiful feeling. They're in St. Thomas somewhere. You imagine Wilder talking to Malik Scott. Yeah, you know, shit, you know, I had his ass. I had Tyson Fury. Well, yeah, I had him. Yeah, you had him, champ. Yeah, you had him. But you know, he was just a slippery guy. He knew his boxing IQ. Fuck that IQ. I almost knocked his head off. I almost knocked his top off his head. That's what I wanted to do. Fuck his IQ. But Wilder, you have to listen to me. The man knew what he was doing. He knew boxing. You had to respect that. Man, fuck that dude. Re-educate himself on old heavyweights. Yeah. He didn't fight by the hook, but he hit with the library tonight. Joe Louis on Marciano. AJ needs to look him. He didn't try to fight by the book. Well, I mean, when did Rocky Marciano fight by the book? He didn't fight by the book. He was just a slugger. He was a guy who wanted to catch you with a certain punch. He was a smaller heavyweight. He had to take a lot of punishment to get in the inside. And he took a lot of punishment. Rocky Marciano took a lot of ass whooping before landing that punch. You know, like Rocky Balboa said it best. It's not how hard you get hit, it's how hard you get hit and still keep moving forward. That was the mentality of Rocky Marciano. Malik Scott can talk about the dive he took against Wilder and Ortiz. He didn't take no dive against Ortiz. Ortiz knocked his ass down 4 times. I think Malik Scott is one of them smart guys, though. Listen to me. If he took a dive against Ortiz, I think in that case then Malik Scott wasn't a dumbass. And then what I mean by that is Malik Scott knew enough about boxing to know, like, hey, I'm not going to let you hit me with a shot that's going to permanently hurt me. Think about it, people. Think about Malik Scott. Look how sharp Malik Scott is. Does he sound punch drunk to you? No, because the motherfucker know. Bap! Oh, that hit me a little hard. I'm going down. Fuck you. I got to live past this fight. You know, not saying they didn't love boxing, but, you know, there's a difference between the love of combat and actual combat. Okay, let's hit that like button. Chisora versus Parker has sold over 20,000 tickets already, and it's a non-title fight. We back the sport like nobody else over here. Metal Box J, you ain't never lying. Listen, that's big. So at least we will have a crowd, but understand, Chisora is a guy that sells tickets. Chisora knows that. That's why Chisora, remember when Chisora went to Eddie Hearn when he was going to fight, who was Chisora going to fight? Damn. Who was Chisora going to fight when he was fighting with Josh Taylor? They were the co-main event because Josh Taylor and Regis Prograis was fighting that night. Was it Price? Or was it Price? It was Spilka. Yeah, it was Spilka. I don't think it was Price. You know what I mean? So, you know, Derek Chisora was like, yo, listen, you give me more money, I'm gonna stop the fight. You know, you give me more money, I'm going home. He said that shit. And listen, I remember Regis, shout out to New Orleans. It was Spilka though, right? Yeah, it was Spilka. Because he knocked Spilka the fuck out. He hit Spilka and retired him, I think. I think that, look, when Deontay Wilder hit Spilka, that was the beginning of the end of Spilka. That was the beginning of the end. When Chisora beat Spilka, hit Spilka, that was the end of the end. You know what I mean? Wilder started it, Chisora ended it. It was over for him. And Spilka's not a big guy anyway. Spilka could have been one of those that made up weight, the Bridger weight. He could have been one of those guys. Chisora would troll Wilder at the presser. Do you think Wilder's left face is not permanently damaged? No. I mean, it's not his face, it's more like his ear. That part, you know. He has to bring the fucking guard up. That's all he needs to do. They need to work on the defense. Because if anything they said about allegations of Tyson Fury cheating at this point is stupid, but if it was any truth to it, they would want to protect that part of his face. If somehow he got past the medical exams and all that and was able to fight, he would have enough sense to, like, listen, this part is damaged because he was cheated. We can't prove he cheated, so we need to protect that side of his face. That's easy. That's a logical thing now. If it was me against the world type shit like they claim, that means you have to defend yourself and you have to look after yourself and your team look after you. And they should have told you, listen, that fucking right hand, you bring that guard up here. Don't bring it down because he's gonna aim right at your temple area. Chisora might upset Wilder. It's weird with Wilder though, because if the same Wilder we saw, it would be one hell of a fight. I think at this point though, Wilder would be able to lay on Chisora because Chisora, he fights like kind of like a Joe Frazier, like a poor man's Joe Frazier, because he does like to work the body with a dance. He does like to come straight at you. But then here's the thing with Chisora. If he's coming right at Wilder, that gives Wilder all the ample opportunity to throw the right hand right up the pipe. And if he can do that, he can knock Chisora out cold, just like Dillian White did. Don't act like Chisora can't get knocked out, people. Come on now. This is boxing. As a matter of fact, this is heavyweight boxing. Wasn't Monaco Chisora's last win? I'm not sure. Wilder loves short people. That's why he would knock out Andy Ruiz. Daily. You gotta love Chisora though. I think Chisora would throw shit at Wilder. But see, I think we have to respect, like, there's levels to this. Chisora, there was reason for a second fight. Because a lot of people think Joseph Parker lost. And as far as Joseph Parker, it's like this with Parker. Even Andy Lee, you could tell the body language of Andy Lee, which was training Parker. He wasn't even happy about that. Look, if you can look back at how Andy Lee was looking after that, Andy Lee didn't even believe that was the right type of decision. Chisora has a short fuse. Yeah, he does. Let's hit that like button. Let's get those likes up to 100. We have over 100 people in here, and I refuse to know all these are haters that just watch. If I got that many haters, damn. Love you haters, but come on, where's my lovers? Kurt, when are you going to talk about AJ getting robbed versus Usyk? Quick reminder that AJ has more top 10 wins than Fury, Ali, Usyk, and Wilder combined. We are witnessing the greatest ever. Victor Bada. AJ was not robbed against Usyk, bro. Hell to the no. AJ was outboxed because AJ chose to fight or to attempt to outbox Alexander Usyk. And then he hurt him he hurt him, I think, in the 3rd round, and he definitely hurt him in the 12th round. Usyk destroyed AJ. Usyk is unproven. Usyk is unproven. He's been in there with Chisora. He's been in there with Anthony Joshua. He's been in there with Witherspoon, Chaz Witherspoon. Now listen, Chaz Witherspoon is nobody to shake a stick at. But at the end of the day, Chaz Witherspoon is still a heavyweight. He's a veteran. AJ is scared of Del Boy? No, he's not scared of Del Boy. When Usyk has the resume AJ has, I mean, he will fight whoever. Victor, listen, you can't be mad at Usyk because he beat Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua happened to do all the work. He put in all the work, all the time. He got almost all the belts. But if you beat AJ, that comes with a price. You understand that? When you beat AJ, you take everything that he's accomplished. So you can't be pissed off about that. Usyk has always done enough. AJ didn't underperform. Usyk is just better. Curtis Maul, I mean, he's better. He was a better man that night. Del Boy is signed with AJ's 258 management. Okay. Usyk bamboozled AJ. AJ has more top 10 wins than Fury and Usyk combined. So what? So what? Because see, at this point, you could say that about Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury's never fought Anthony Joshua. But if when you talk about Joshua and Usyk, Usyk just fought Joshua. Usyk beat Joshua. So when you talk about resume at this point, that's not even the question. Why should that be even the significance? The significance is Anthony Joshua lost. So Alexander Usyk, being the smaller guy, being somewhat of the foreigner to the heavyweight division that nobody really respected, and I think you should give him the respect. Lack it, counterpunch to you, brother. Fury's resume is terrible outside Wilder and Klitschko. Yeah, it is. Who do you have? Chisora, Wileen, Pianetta, Safari. Who else? Schwartz. I mean, who else do you have? Canelo versus Usyk ASAP. Here's the thing about Usyk, though. And then Roy Jones can contest to this. You never want to go up and then come back down. I miss the old heavyweights. Well, the old heavyweights, here's the thing. The old heavyweights that you miss are the guys that fought each other. Why do you think it's such a significance that that Lennox Lewis didn't fight Riddick Bowe? Because that was the only fight that didn't happen that people wanted to see. But here's the thing. I'm not really interested in seeing Bowe versus Lennox Lewis. I mean, it would have been a good fight, you know. Pianetta, Safari, Schwartz, Safiri, all in Wileen. Enough said. Last chance for Joshua. On an elite level, he would, by default, he would go down to the next tier. See, if Anthony Joshua loses again, Anthony Joshua then would have to take a back seat. Then they would have to. Everybody surrounding Joshua, everybody that works for Joshua would then have to consider someone at some point, maybe Eddie Hearn, would have to look at Anthony Joshua and tell Anthony, unfortunately, hey, you're going to have to start fighting guys that you probably wouldn't have fought if you wouldn't have taken a loss. You know, but here's the thing. He's been beaten by two people, Andy Ruiz, which he beat, and Alexander Usyk. So that leaves one person that he's never been able to defeat, even in a rematch, if he loses, and that's Alexander Usyk. So he's beaten everybody except Alexander Usyk. Would he still be marketable? Hell yeah, he'd still be marketable. Is Derek Chisora still marketable? Yes. So it doesn't mean he's not marketable. He just won't be walking around with all those straps. You know, you'd be the former two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world. Yeah, leave the chat for a second to hit the like button. Yeah, I know, right? Let's hit that like button. Usyk took AJ's belts in pride. AJ needs to take them back with authority. Blaine Walker, Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez. That'll be a good fight. Big Daddy Bo. Chisora, the black British Rocky Balboa. Yeah, well, I think he's a little crazier. He's more like the British Clubber Lang, honestly. He's just older. AJ weak-minded bro for boxing. I'll tell you this about AJ. AJ does have his moments that you wonder, like, okay, what the hell is he really doing? You know, I mean, you look at, like, he does have his moments, but I mean, it's all about mentality. You know, you can only blame so many people around Joshua. You have to start looking at Joshua, because at one point, like, look, this shit ain't happening. This shit ain't working. So I'm going to have to start, you know, throwing for the fences. Benavidez tonight, you got to walk through or what? Yeah, I'm gonna go live later today. I'm gonna see the DAZN. I'm gonna see. I want to see Puerto Rico versus Mexico. I want to see Munguia versus Rosado. I think Munguia is going to beat Rosado, but I think Rosado is going to give Munguia problems. I hope Rosado beats Munguia. That would be fucking great for Rosado because Rosado's been in some that Danny Jacobs fight was bullshit. AJ still in learning mode. Yeah, I mean he's going to learn. Even when you get beat, you're going to learn. You know, but at what point do you have to take everything you learned and use it for the now? No, if AJ bump, okay, unsubscribe, Victor, whatever. You know what I mean? See you later. Charlie Torres, Tank is not fighting. Tank's fighting Pitbull. I think everyone agrees better coaching would help AJ. I mean, yeah, it would have helped AJ. You know what I mean? Chickarelli, you got money on Rosado. Nice. Pitt might give Tank a little problem. I hope so. Do you think Benavidez could get upset tonight? Homeboy is getting counted out. I don't know. That would suck though, because he really had in mind Usyk. Okay, Victor Bada, I thought you unsubscribed. I don't know why you would unsubscribe, but hey, it is what it is. AJ hate is real. Nobody hates on AJ over here. You just can't take criticism. There's a difference between liking. I'm a fan of AJ. I'm a fan. Everybody knows I'm a fan of Anthony Joshua. I support Joshua. But there's a difference between supporting Joshua and being a fanboy, a cheerleader, a person that doesn't see any wrong in a fighter. That's the problem. And look, and this is evidence that, yeah, I will get people, and Victor Bada is not the only person that's came on here like, you don't like AJ, you switched on AJ. No, I didn't switch on AJ. You know what I mean? Like, who the hell switches? It's just, if you want to tell the truth about something, you have to. What about this new light heavyweight guy? They're calling the next Tyson, English guy. I don't know. What's his name? Javi Go. Hey, Kurt, I'm sending you a DVD box set of MASH for Christmas. What is your take on Rolly Romero? Appreciate you, man. You know what? I hate MASH. I hated that show. My dad was in Vietnam, right? And that show, he watched that show. I could not stand it in the early 80s, bro. I was a kid, like 4 or 5 in the early 80s. So it's like, when that shit used to come on, that means all the other shit is going off. But I appreciate the love, though. You're the new LDBC. AJ is the greatest ever. The new LDBC. No, I don't peddle. I don't hate on people's name. I don't do any of that. We both know this, Kurt. Teddy. When you prep for a different fighter, you get a Ruiz. That's true. Uga's situation. You could, if you're not focused on the fighter at hand, but then who the hell is the fighter, really? We know Joshua wasn't ready for Ruiz. He'll probably never admit it. He'll never admit that he wasn't ready, because he would like to tell you, because if he says that he wasn't ready, that reflects his team. So he ain't going to say that shit. But what he will do is he will say like, hey, you know, he'll say like a catchy title, like, you know, stay hungry, stay humble, you know, never let a win go to your head, never let a defeat get to your heart, that type shit. But he ain't going to say, hey, I wasn't ready for this motherfucker. He ain't gonna say that. Mash was bashed in Korea. Oh well. But wasn't it in Korea though? Wasn't that the Korean War though? Johnny Fisher. Bit early to compare him to world champion yet. Consider he's like 4 fights or something. Rosado has fought some good names in close fights. He's got plenty of experience to win the night. Man, I hope he does. I hope he kicks Munguia's ass. You know what that means for Oscar De La Hoya? Oscar De La Hoya is he's gonna relapse, go out and buy him a Kia Coke. He's gonna go with his new Spanish-looking girlfriend and get high, and sit there and go live with fucking powder all around his nose. Babe, babe, it was a good fight. Babe, doesn't she look like Mexican? Babe, babe, babe. Oscar never stopped snoring. I don't think he has. He ain't never stopped drinking. Thoughts on Triple G fight? Man, Triple G is pissed over the last 3 years. He could have really made a comeback, and he could have really earned a Canelo 3 fight. As close as those fights were, Canelo did move on and fight other competition. He needs to stop drinking on camera. Oscar ain't gonna stop doing. You know what Oscar needs to do? This is what Oscar needs to do. Oscar needs to spend more time with Mike Tyson. That's what I think. I think he needs to spend more time with Mike. I think he needs to start smoking more weed, more of like a sativa. And I think that would get him off of like opioids or, uppers and things like that. Oscar on that white powder magic. Kurt, let's be real. If the fight goes the distance, Parker gets it. Yeah, let's be real. Connor, I'm real about that. I said that. I don't know if you were here, but if the fight is duplicated like it was, if it has excitement, if it has, it doesn't matter if Del Boy, doesn't matter if he knocks down Parker or not. Parker's going to get the nod. Fury is a bum journeyman. Honest question. Do you think Canelo can fight a ranked heavyweight fighter? I don't know. I have no idea, honestly. Bobo Shear, show me off. AJ should go the WBC route, Kurt. Well, depending on what happens in the next fight, he's going to have to go. And then at that point, he's going to run into fighters like Deontay Wilder. Because I have a strange feeling if Wilder fights Tyson Fury, if White fights Tyson Fury, Wilder's already at number 1. So if Anthony Joshua loses, what's going to happen, depending on who wins or not, they're going to have to either fight for that belt, because I think if Tyson Fury beats White, then I don't think there's no other fight that he would want to have. And if that's the case, he might want to give up the WBC. Is AJ ranked with the WBC now? I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure if he loses that fight, he will fall somewhere in those rankings. The WBC, Mauricio Sulaiman will see Anthony Joshua is still a marketable marquee fighter, and he will put him somewhere on the WBC rankings. Bo Bashir, how you doing, Kurt? I'm doing pretty good. Freddie Starr ate my hamster. Kurt, how does Canelo stack up to the likes of Hopkins, Roy Jones Jr., Cal Naki, Eubank, Ben, and Froch, and those from that era? I don't see him beating a prime Roy. I don't see Canelo beating a prime Roy. I just don't. No. Too big, too strong. Just like he would be better off beating guys like, I think he would beat Conor Benn, but I think Conor Benn has the power to hurt him. He would have one hell of a fight with Eubank, but I think he beats Eubank too eventually. Eubank is he does have he had a higher IQ than Conor Benn, but Calzaghe, I think Calzaghe could outpoint Canelo, but in this day and age, I think that Calzaghe would lose a decision. I think Calzaghe would outpoint Conor Benn. He would outpoint Canelo, kind of like some Lara shit, and then they would rob Calzaghe. Who else is there? Nigel Benn, sorry. Now I'm saying Connor because I'm used to saying Connor, but Nigel Benn. Yeah. Prime Roy from the 90s would annihilate Canelo. Yeah. I mean, that he wouldn't have won that fight. Look, dude, Roy Jones Jr. would have beat a prime Sugar Ray Robinson. Okay? That's like, no one is better. Like, you have to understand, Roy Jones Jr. was probably one of the best fighters ever from era to era to era. Okay? The American fans seem to like Hearn. The American promoters hate him. Well, I mean, look, Eddie's coming over with money. He's coming over with fights. He's coming over with excitement. He came over with AJ. He should have came over with AJ again. Roy Jones would tap his own foot, then punch you in the mouth. You know, Roy would tap the floor. He would do that tap and then jab. But that's really nothing but a feint. This is just something to throw you off. Bop! You know. Kurt, don't you think AJ at his best would have knocked out Fury or Wilder on the Trilogy Showdown? Your opinion? I think if AJ hurt any of those fighters, he's one of the best finishers in the business, and because of that, he would have took those guys out. You got any excuses today, Roy? You like the zone, Kurt? Yeah, I like the zone. The zone's cool. The zone at the beginning, I think it was kind of like a prototype. I didn't like at the beginning. See, now they do it. They have punch stats. They have, you know, jabs, the totals of power, jab, you know, power shots, jabs, those type of things. You know, punch percentage, punches thrown versus punches that landed. They have those things now. They didn't before. And I didn't like that worth a damn. Julian Jackson versus Canelo. I would have to go with Canelo. Casa Calling. Why? Because Julian Jackson was a hard-hitting beast, just like David Lemieux is. David Lemieux's a hard hitter, but I would give Canelo the win. Canelo would beat a guy like that. Why? Because Canelo has a chin. Canelo can take a punch. You know, you're not worried about Canelo getting knocked out cold. That's not what you're really worried about with Canelo. The thing you're worried about with Canelo is him hitting you to the body and hurting you, stopping you with a liver shot, knocking you out with one of those counters, or you getting robbed if you're able to outbox him or outwork him. That's what you worry about with Canelo. Ben was the most dangerous fighter when he was hurt. Nigel Benn was dangerous anyway. But if you notice Nigel Benn now, he has a lisp. He has that lisp from, you know, getting hit too much. CTE is real, people. I was born ready. Canelo versus Froch in England. I think Canelo beats Froch. I don't think Froch would have beat Canelo. I got Jackson in 3 because he was different beast, and Canelo takes rounds off. If he now listen, I remember James Kirkland. You guys remember James Kirkland and Canelo? Remember when James Kirkland went right at Canelo and he was scraping Canelo with punches like he did, and Canelo took all those shits and came back and knocked him out cold. Like it was like he knocked James Kirkland out, and it was all of this. And look, I felt bad for James Kirkland. I felt bad for him, man. Because, I mean, he got hit with punches. I mean, look, no. Caleb Plant is suing Canelo. Why is Caleb Plant suing Canelo? You mean for that cut? The only thing I can talk about is that cut, because that cut did open up in that fight, if that's true. That's the only thing that I can really think of from the top of my head. You know, James Toney would take the pressure. Now, James Toney would be difficult for anybody. I would like to see a prime James Toney versus Canelo Alvarez. That would be a good fight. And then see, like James Toney, that Philly shell, that crossover, those type things are dangerous. And that's a dangerous style for Canelo. Because Canelo Alvarez has his hands up and he's looking for counters himself. But in that style, you're already in position to throw counters. Kirkland should have stayed with Ann Wolf. Maybe. I don't think that would have stopped him from getting knocked out, though. But like, when Ann Wolf trains, she's a beast. Still think Nigel Benn won the first fight against Chris Eubank. Benavidez is going to beat Canelo. All right. Kirkland was off the rails. Kurt, what do you think of Joe Mack, Doodles versus anyone? I have no idea who that is. Michael Watson gets touted as the best middleweight if Eubank in Ben's era. Steve Collins versus Canelo. Pulev is fighting a UFC heavyweight in boxing. Pulev is fighting? Kurt, how do you favor Bivol against Canelo? I think Bivol would give him more problems than someone like Beterbiev, because Beterbiev is going to come at you. He's going to come at you with like, he's like a bear. Beterbiev is a bear, and he's going to come right at you. He's going to come right at you. Is Charlo ever moving up? I don't know. I don't know if Charlo's moving up or not. I don't know. I don't think Canelo's moving down. So I think that would be best. If he wants those fights like he claims he wants, he would move up. But then at that point, he would have to give up his belt. But see, now understand everything that went down at 160 is now at 168. Ann Wolf was a hard trainer for Kirkland. She certainly brought out the beast in him. Yeah. I think she would bring out the beast in anyone. Benavidez against Canelo would be a reality check. I would like to see it. Will Josh Taylor ever move up? Yeah, I think he will. I think he needs to defend those belts that he just acquired a few times and then move up. Is Benavidez the best at 168? I don't know. I mean, he didn't fight Usyk. He didn't fight Plant. He didn't fight Billy Joe Saunders. He didn't fight Caleb Smith. He didn't fight any of those guys. So you don't listen. If you got a good guy, listen. Look, David Benavidez is a guy that's good and real fast with his hands. But at the end of the day, we don't know how good he really is. We don't know how good he really is. He was a yes, he was a champ and he lost his fucking belt for doing coke. Okay? What do you think of AJ's new aggressive mentality? Could help, but also could backfire on him. Well, we'll see with AJ, man, because I think AJ is just trying to cope with the loss. You know, he's just trying to cope with the loss at this point. If Charlo wants a payday, he should move. He should fight Benavidez. He not famous in Texas. Well, nah, he's not famous in Texas. He's not going to be famous like Canelo because Canelo's Mexican. Canelo's a superstar in the, you know, if you can go to DR, you can go to Spain, you can go to Argentina, you can go to Uruguay, you can go to Paraguay, you can go to Peru. You're going to know of Canelo Alvarez. Okay? That's the difference. Jermall Charlo is a guy with Louisiana roots, okay, because his people are from Louisiana, and he grew up in Houston, okay? Unless he's fighting guys that are known, you're not going to know who he is. See, Jermall Charlo is a strong, hard-hitting fighter that fights on a certain platform. Canelo Alvarez has fought on all of them. Think about it. He's fought on Showtime. He's fought on HBO. He's fought on DAZN. He's went back to Showtime. He's been around. Okay, he was around before the how do you say the new platforms came about. He was around before the PBC. He was around before all that. Okay, Canelo is known. He came around at the end of one era. Okay, he came around like the end of the Floyd, Mosley, De La Hoya era. Kurt, I got friends in Colombia who saw the Canelo fight. Yeah, they're going to know who that is. Look, from Colombia, Venezuela, Central America, you're going to know Canelo. Was Bradis the toughest fight for Usyk? I guess. I mean, it was a challenge. I don't know if that was the toughest. Joe Joyce was Usyk's toughest opponent. Well, if Joe Joyce was Usyk's toughest opponent, look what Usyk did to him. Kurt, Sean Boyle versus Edna for the vacant. Sean Boyle. Curtis, AJ loses versus Usyk again, which I hope is not the case. Do you think AJ versus Wilder would then make sense? AJ versus Wilder would make sense anytime. It wouldn't matter when they fought. I mean, at the end of the day, I think AJ versus Wilder will eventually happen. The only thing is, Thomas, this is what we don't want. We don't want to see Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua 2024. That would be dumb. You know, that would be no different from Amir Khan and Kell Brook, right? I heard Purple. Aki is looking for you. Yeah, he is, right? You don't want that fight to just be dead in the water, you know? Yeah, like Roy Jones Jr. versus Calzaghe. It's just too late. It's way too late. Wilder needs to KO a top 3 heavyweight ASAP. Kurt, why is Inouye ranked so high on the pound for pound list? Because of what he's done in his weight class. AK Aki versus Kurt on Triller. I got my money on Kurt. What's Floyd's gonna say about Tank's 100,000 pay-per-view buys? He's gonna claim it's the best shit he ever saw. That's all. But I mean, if it was that low, I don't think that if it was that low, people, I think at the end of the day, people would still just look at it like, I think Floyd would pay somebody to say it was greater. Kurt would beat the horse out of Aki. You think Parker versus Chisora gonna happen? Yeah, I think it's gonna happen. I think that fight. I don't think it should happen because I think Chisora should move on. You know, but Chisora wants to fight, so I guess that's the fight available. And if Parker, you know, Parker said he'd give him the rematch because even Parker knew that was bullshit. You know, De La Hoya versus Hearn at welter. Depends on which De La Hoya and which Hearns. You mean Eddie Hearn? But you're talking about De La Hoya versus Hitman Hearn. Thomas Hearn. I don't know. Depends. That'll be a dangerous fight for De La Hoya. Because, see, if we're looking at prime for prime, Hearn would have knocked out De La Hoya. I mean, he's just, no. That would be a fight, though. Yeah, he would knock out De La Hoya. He'd probably be the first one to knock out De La Hoya. De La Hoya does have a beard, though. D. Hodges, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Tank is scared. I don't know about Tank is being scared, but who knows, man. I think Floyd don't want that smoke. Tank should fight on Canelo undercard. Yeah, since he wants to be so much like Canelo, since they got so much in common. Yeah, B-Hop KO'd De La Hoya. I know. He KO'd him to the body, though. He didn't hit him in the face. Canelo, Better Beef. Canelo versus Better Beef. I would love to see Better Beef knock him out because Better Beef has like a perfect record. And if he knocks out Canelo, he would just, you know what he would be? He would be the next Khabib Nurmagomedov. You know what I mean? If Better Beef beat Canelo, he would be like, he probably would never fight him again. He would probably be like, no, I don't want to fight. I stay at home now. And take a fucking hot ass bath like outside and shit. You would take a hot bath outside in the cold. Parker's promoter annoys the hell out of me for some reason. Parker's been gunshot since AJ. I think he lost the hunger. Curtis Tank the next Broner? Hell no, I don't think Tank's the next Broner. I hope not. Jim Brown, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Yeah, he's a better boxer than Better Beef. You know, I would like to see it, you know. Because Better Beef, but yeah. Also, Voshnik never retired. Voshnik, though, he retired. He retired after the loss to Better Beef. You know, and Better Beef is a guy. He can, man, that dude can punch. You got to be careful. Butterbean versus Jake Paul. Man, I don't know how Butterbean's doing. I hope he's all right. I hope he's doing well. I hope he still has a lot of that money that he made on those King of the 4-rounder events. Chisora is proof that taking a loss is psychological. Is Ward coming back or is he just a crybaby? Baby. Why would Ward want to come back? And why does that make him a crybaby for not coming back? He did what he did in the sport. It's over. Now he's a commentator for ESPN Top Rank. He's probably making millions for doing that. If not, he's definitely making six figures. And he's comfortable. He retired undefeated. He fought the challenges at hand. A lot of people, people ducked him. He beat Carl Froch. He beat Kovalev. You know what I mean? He done that. What else do you want from fucking Ward? He didn't retire because he was running from guys like Canelo or Triple G. In fact, Triple G was the one that didn't want to fight Ward. So stop. Who's the greatest 168-pounder of all time, Kurt? Roy Jones Jr. Tony Lyons. Yeah, he put in his time. But why people fucking with Ward? Is he just a crybaby? What the fuck has he ever cried about? People say the stupidest shit on him. I don't understand. Like Ward is like, when did Ward ever complain about any fucking thing? I've seen Ward pissed off, and in the way he handled it, he did it with prestige. Like with those guys, like Fred said shit about him, and see, Fred lets people on his platform that are like, they're overboard with the shit. Like they are just prejudiced to no end. And they went in on Andre Ward because Andre Ward made a comment towards Deontay Wilder, which, like, why are you so sensitive? He can make a comment about Deontay Wilder. It wasn't disrespectful. But because he made that, they got on that platform, they start talking shit about what type of fighter he is. And, Ward said Sweet Cheeks Plant was going to win. He wanted him to win because he trained him. So, of course, that makes him automatically biased. How is Ward fake, though? Ward is biased on commentary. The only person I seen him biased towards was Anthony Joshua, and I called him out on it. And then the reason why I said that is because you can't say that Anthony Joshua's just not good enough instead of saying exactly what he said. Yeah, I don't ever see him complaining about anything. Kurt, do you think AJ has too many people in his team? Yep. He needs to get rid of all them damn people. Absolutely. You think Ward has a chance if he fights Canelo? No, because for one, you got 4 years of inactivity. You'd have to take some tune-ups. Then if, like, who would he fight? Would he fight Callum Smith? Would he fight someone? Who is going to prepare Andre Ward for Canelo Alvarez being out of the ring that long? Babbitt KO Allen. Yeah, Babbitt will KO Allen. Allen should have retired and stayed retired. Allen should be actually a commentator. Do stand-up because he's funny as shit. AJ needs to go to America. I hope he comes here and stays here. Ward was suffering body pain. Was he not? Why he retired? No, he had something going on with his knees too. How you doing, Kurt? Just notice you're on. Karn, I'm good, man. The only thing I've seen Andre Ward get wrong and complain about was the referee stopping the count in the Deontay Wilder fight. Psycho Crusher, yeah. But I mean, you look, a lot of times you see certain things and, it might look weird at the time. You have to go back and compare. Why do some people hate Bud and AJ? Because like some of them, like, I don't know. People hate successful people. Shit. Kurt, fantasy matchup, Fury versus Lennox Lewis. I don't know. I'd go with Lennox. Because Lennox has been tested. And Lennox has been tested with people that can actually fucking fight. not people that can punch and has a good punch. There's a difference between stealing on a person, throwing one punch, landing, or versus fighting. See, anybody can walk up to me right now and throw a punch and knock me out. But if they fuck around and they miss, or if they don't knock me out, they're going to have to deal with me and what I have to bring to the fight. But if all they know how to do is throw that one shot, I'm coming for them. That's the difference. See, Wilder hits people and hurts them. He either hits you, drops you, hurts you, then he'll maul you, by those assortment of windmills and unorthodox ass punches that he throws. But if you're fighting somebody that actually knows how to fucking fight, that knows the engagement of battle, he's gonna, that's why what makes you think he didn't beat Tyson Fury? First fight, second fight, and third fight, because Tyson Fury knew how to fight. You got to do more than just knock the shit out of a person to win a fight, to execute a win. You have to do more than that. See, those guys who were hitting, those plumbers, Uber drivers, taxi cab drivers, and fucking, all those kind of guys that he fought, he was hitting them and knocking them out cold, some of them. And then some of them would get stopped. But when you get to fighting somebody that's not old, that knows what the fuck he's doing, he's gonna have problems. Especially if you have heart and you know how to fight. And Tyson Fury showed him I have heart. Mark Purdy, what's up, Kurt? Just came in. All the best from Scotland. Counterpunch to you. Would Mike Tyson beat Fury? Depends on what Mike. I think a young Mike would fucking maul Tyson Fury. You see how Cunningham dropped him. You think Cunningham dropping Tyson Fury like he did, Tyson wouldn't allow that. He wouldn't allow Tyson Fury to get back in that fight if he dropped Tyson Fury like Steve Cunningham did. Mike Tyson would run right over him. He would run right over Tyson Fury because Mike had that tenacity. He had that tenacity. I mean, he was that guy. Like Mike, see the difference between fighters with instinct. If they know they hurt you, David Tua was another one. If David Tua hurt you, he might do absolute shit through the fight. But if he hits you and hurts you, he's going to finish you. Shout out to Showbiz the Adult. What's up, brother? Thank you, man. Thank you. But yeah, Kid Dynamite. Exactly. Kid Dynamite. That version of Mike. Now, if we want to talk about the shit coked out Mike, 2002 to 3, Tyson might get him, especially this Tyson here. But no, I don't think that's the case. But if you're dealing with guys with instinct, guys that know how to fight, that know how to finish you. See, Canelo, look at Canelo. Canelo knows how to finish you because he knows. Why do you think, oh man, he just hit Caleb and all of a sudden he's out and he fell one time and then he got hit again, knocked out again? Because Canelo knows how to finish you. He knows he knows those things. He practices those things. Okay? Those guys know how to do. You don't want to get hurt by certain people because at that point, green light. Green light. They're going to finish you. They're going to show you what's up. And you don't want that. It's just different from getting hit with one shot. Wilder's resume for 40 or so fights was atrocious. Well, that's the building process. I just think they did too much of it. Even with 30 fights, I think it was time to allow him to fight some of the best. But I mean, that's management. That's the people that he trusts. And that's the people that he still trusts. But at the end of the day, look at Wilder. Is Wilder broke? Is Wilder looking for money? Is he on the streets begging for change? No, the motherfucker's rich. So at some point, someone did something right. And look at this. Let's look at it like this. Who was his manager? Shelly Finkel. Who did Shelly Finkel manage? Some of the best fucking fighters in the world. Vladimir, Mike Tyson, right? You have to remember that. So, I may disagree with what he did with Wilder, but he had reason to do what he did with Wilder. If he would have just let Wilder go off and fight guys like Vlad and those guys, then he wouldn't have been the Wilder today, and we would be talking about somebody else totally. So it is what it is. We probably would be talking about how good the Wilder fight was with Charles Martin. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it is what it is. Or Charles Martin fighting Tyson Fury or some shit like that. Wilder is an actor. Joey Chaz, I think Wilder could be a very good actor. I mean, all bullshits aside, I think he could be a very good actor. I think if he decided to walk away from boxing, he could be the next Marvin Hagler. He could do all these these B movies and shit, these C movies like with Seagal and all that. He could do that shit very easy. Miss Madeline, love from South Africa, TIA, baby. Counterpunch to you. Watching the Deontay Wilder versus Fury fight was like watching the Tasmanian Devil versus Bald Bull from Mike Tyson Punch-Out. That's funny. Search and destroy. Hope everyone is having a good day. Thank you, brother. Tyson was great till he found Coke. Yeah, I love fucking Coke. Coke was the best shit I ever had. That's why I love to get high. I remember one time it was bad. Like, I know Mike was like, dude, Mike, listen, it was times when Mike Tyson, we didn't even know if Mike was going to live or not. Let's be real. Like, back in those days, if someone would have said, hey, man, you know what happened to Mike died, man, Mike committed suicide, people wouldn't have been surprised. You know, people wouldn't be surprised one bit on that. Kurt, what's the hardest boxing fight to predict right now? Well, or one that's actually happening or one that could happen? I'm going for Inui. Kurt, if anybody could do a film with anyone, who would it be? If you could do a film with anyone. I would have to do I'd have to do a film with Van Damme. I would have to do a film with Van Damme, like, because he does enough B movies, and I get casted for those movies here and there. You know, we take what we can get as stuntman. If you have a part or something, that's cool. Yeah, I would do one with Van Damme because I grew up watching his shit. So, like, that would be that for me. Like, look, you know, all this time, all the support that I gave Van Damme, and then doing what I've done in the industry. Yeah, I would love to take, like, it would be cool too, because like when I was young, people used to call me the Black Van Damme. You know, I do the splits and shit, and, you know, study karate and kickboxing, then Muay Thai, then Tai Kempo, shit like that. And then, you know, used to work out and shit. Got curly hair, so I had a lot of fucking hair then. So they'd be like, dude, you look like Van Damme. Really? You know, that shit would, you know, Kurt and Samuel Jackson, motherfucking the big screen. That would be cool. Wishing that for you, Kurt. Miss Madeline, that would be good. That would be good. Thank you, Miss Madeline. But I would like to, like, work with Van Damme. You know, like, you just like choreograph some fight scenes. But you got to be careful, because Van Damme will fuck you up. You know, I mean, seriously, I mean, he will hurt you, because he was sued for 500 grand for a guy, it was a stunt guy. He kicked in the eye. No, he sliced him in the eye and put his eye out. His name is Jackson Pickney. Okay, he's a stunt guy that lost an eye, or a partial vision in his eye. You know, maybe partial or complete vision in one of his eyes. Michael Jai White. Michael Jai White, more than likely, I will work with him anyway. Um, because I mean, he does 5 or 6, well, maybe 3 or 4 B movies every year. Would you wear a dress? No, I would never wear a dress, bro. No. I'd be like, fuck you. You know what I mean? There's no need of it. Like, it ain't like I'm a broke dude. So to do that, I don't know. Morgan Freeman, Blood and Bone, that's a good move. I would like to see a part 2 to that. They could do a prequel when they talked about his twins. So like Michael J. Fox could do like a Blood and Bone prequel to, you know, up to him going to jail versus when his twin brother was killed. Now he could do that. With Denzel Washington. No, I never did one with Denzel. Yeah, he did that too, Wong Fu, and I love Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes would be another one though. Kurt, can you tell me a film you're in that I can put on and look out for you? Obviously, tell me what you're doing. What have I done lately? A Day to Die. I was in A Day to Die. I was a stunt performer in A Day to Die. Amazon Prime. I got a few things on there. Step Away from the Stone. That was my first film ever. I played a guy named Scott as kind of like a Hallmark film. Squatter. I played Squatter. So, you know, Counterpunch movies. Yeah. That's weird as I watch Blood and Bone today. Yeah, Blood and Bone was a dope film. You know the guy that he knocked out with the gold teeth? Do you guys know? I mean, useless trivia, but that guy was actually The Rock's cousin. That's who does all The Rock's stunts. You can star as Joe Frazier? No. Too tall. Kurt, you're not watching the fights on the zone. Yes, I'm watching the fights on the zone. They're not on yet. Not the ones I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch Gabe Rosado and Munguia. Have you ever worked with Ryan Reynolds? He's hilarious. You know, I was just watching, I think it was like Red Notice. I saw that yesterday. Have I ever worked with Ryan Reynolds? No, but I've worked with the girl that he used to date, Scarlett Johansson. And we talked a bit on the Green Lantern because she worked on the Green Lantern. Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, man. But yeah, so he came down there. We were all in New Orleans, and that's where they filmed Green Lantern. And he walked up, and I know we were like exactly the same height. Kurt could play Ice Cube. Nope, Ice Cube is too short. Yeah, Scarlett is a beautiful. It's crazy. I was with one of my ex-girlfriends, and then like it was a girl on TV, and she was walking, and she was like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "That's Scarlett Johansson." She was like, "How do you know that from just looking at her ass?" It was funny. David Benavidez is going to win too. Yeah, she is fit. Shit, man, I watched that as well today, and yeah, Scarlett is fit yeah, she is. Scarlett is short too. Yeah, she is short. She is short, and she was thicker. I don't know about now, because you know those chicks, they like to get skinny, especially if they get the reputation for being thick. Like look at J-Lo. J-Lo, she's not how she used to be in the 90s. This ain't Selena time. This ain't Out of Sight. She ain't that type. She was like fine back then, but like now she's just kind of like, I want to be this slim person with a little bump, you know. So Brittany Devine, I hope you're doing fine. Bars. You say her last name different to us in the UK. Okay, cool. Kurt, you should watch Spartacus Blood and Sand. It's exactly like the heavyweight division. Pretty much, Michael. And I've saw that, and it's sad too. Have you worked with Bob Sapp? Nope. I've never worked with Bob Sapp. Are you not entertained? That's a good movie. Very good movie. Kim Kardashian. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Kim Kardashian because everything on her is fake. Like everything damn near on her that you might look. She's pretty, but I mean, like, how much is that constructed from plastic surgery? I mean, hey, shout out to the surgeon. You work with Steven Seagal? No, I have not. And he's another person that will hurt you. He will, in fact, hurt you because he's hurt a lot of people. Yeah, well, I mean, if that's all bought, I mean, what else does she really have? I'm not a fan of the plastic surgery world. I'm not just opposed to it. I'm just not a fan of it. I'm not a fan. I mean, I go to the Caribbean and you see chicks that have surgeries all day long. Those are the chicks that I just look at and look off because it's not ideal. It's normal. Do you get any work or have you worked in London? I have never worked in London. But then here's the thing. To work in Canada or London or Ireland or Spain, you have to have a work visa to work in those places. So, politics. Agree with Kurt, not a fan of fake body parts. I'm not either. Search and destroy. I'm not searching and trying to destroy fake body parts. Steven Seagal still teaches police self-defense. Don't he? Or he used to? Tony, I don't know what Steven Seagal really did or didn't do. Hey, just relax. You deserve it. It's the day to do it. It's Saturday. Respect the Sabbath, baby. Xena naked and Spartacus was a trip for my son. He grew up as a kid watching her. Ruined him on it. I mean, hey. It is what it is. Get your mind out of the gutter. We'll bring it back to boxing. Ebony Bridges. Megan Fox and Jessica Biel have nice workouts and gets results accordingly. Plastic body broads look terrible and don't even know it. I should be doing yard work, but I'm lazy. I thought that you might get sorted for. That might get sorted. Reuben Carter. Plastic girls melt in the sun. That's funny. That might be some truth to that, though. Because, I mean, if they get hot enough, I mean, what would happen to the stuff that they put in? Unless it's actual fat, you know. But back to boxing. Okay. Charles Martin, Joseph Parker were two dominant heavyweights of the time. Why don't you think AJ gets the credit for dethroning them and ending their reign? Charles Martin was not reigning anything. Do you understand? He got the belt from a disqualification. So, you know, and Joseph Parker, I mean, he had a split decision loss to Andy Ruiz. So, I mean, that's not dominating anything. The Hurricane, shave your head. You could play him, and it's on topic boxing. No, we already had Reuben Hurricane Carter with Denzel, of course. Charles Martin ended the Klitschko reign. Dude, you smoking crack. He never fought any Klitschko. Kurt, who do you see overtaking Canelo pound for pound? Terrence Crawford. If Terrence Crawford knocks out Sean Porter, he will be #1 again. I would love to see a fight between Kurt and Bermain Stavern. I don't know. Bermain, he's a big boy, ain't he? Charlie Martin is high as a kite. Now it is clear you are a hater of Anthony Joshua. I'm not a hater of Anthony Joshua. I just tell you the way it is. People know that I'm not a hater of Anthony Joshua. It's just you. You're just a fanboy, and it's clear that you're obviously you're a fanboy. Your thoughts on Teddy Atlas is basically calling Canelo with cherry picker after he beat Plant. I don't know. I have to look at that. I heard about it, but I have to look at it. I have to definitely look at it. Surely Usyk is a candidate for #1 pound for pound, seeing that he was undisputed. He was undisputed welterweight champion and unified champion. Well, he was undisputed cruiserweight, not welterweight. Yeah, people say hate because others disagree. Yeah. Well, Anthony Joshua changed trainers. Rob McCracken is clearly dragging him down. I think he'll bring someone else in. He's going to pay Rob McCracken until he gets out of the sport of boxing. I'm just hoping AJ redeems himself. Crawford versus Porter excites me. Yeah, that is good. That is good. Freddie Starr ate my hamster. No problem. I know what you meant. Klitschko would KO Martin now. I believe that shit too. I think he would knock out Charles Martin. Charles Martin has been training with Manny Robles. So, I think he's learned a lot from Manny Robles. That right counter hook did him justice by knocking out Washington, right? And Washington knocked out Helenius, and Helenius knocked out Adam Kalnaki, and Adam Kalnaki beat Charles Martin. So you don't know what we're going to get. I think you did a video on that. I may have missed. What's your take on AJ wanting to bash up Usyk? Good idea for AJ or playing Usyk into Usyk's hands. I'm not sure. I think AJ does need to take it to him, but I think he needs to learn when to do certain things, and I don't know if he knows how to mentally do that or not. Because if he didn't know how to do that before, what makes you think he's going to know how to do that then? Does he need total instruction from the corner? Does the corner need to hold his hand and tell him, hey, you need to do this and this is the time to do this? Or will he know? Will he know to do that? Will he instinctively know, listen, I'm down a few rounds. I need to take it to this motherfucker and get my respect back. Or let me try to knock him out. Does he have that type of mindset? That's the question you ask yourself. Charles Martin is better than anyone on Fury's resume. Well, the sad part about it is we don't know if Charles Martin is or not. He ain't fought. Has he fought Derek Chisora? No. Who else did he fight? Did he fight Otto Wallin? No. Did he fight Cunningham? No. Did he fight Klitschko? No. So we don't know how good Charles Martin really is. See, it's a certain thing as saying something on what you feel. Get over your feelings. Let's worry about facts, not feelings. So the whole thing is, the answer to that question, you don't know that. Both Klitschko brothers would still make an impact on the division if they wanted. I know Vladimir could. Vladimir comes back, people are going to want a piece of him. From the outside, it's clear AJ doesn't trust his corner. That is a problem. Well, he needs to get rid of him. Kurt Parker has let me down so many times. He had it all, in my opinion. Skill, speed, decent pop. Guy never pulls the trigger. Well, I don't think I don't look at Joseph Parker as anybody dominating anymore. He's just a guy that's the former WBO heavyweight champion. Nothing more, nothing less. Can Spence beat Crawford? Can he beat Crawford? I don't know. I don't think that's a good fight for him, though. Because Spence is a guy that comes forward. And I just see him getting countered. Just like I see Sean Porter getting countered. And knocked out eventually and stopped eventually. Spence versus Crawford will be a good fight. Spence didn't want that fight, neither did his advisor. So it's not going to happen. Parker versus Joe. I would like to see Parker versus Joe one day. That could be a good fight. I sort of agree with you with Showbiz that AJ should put it on Usyk when they're in close and body him to the way out and box in spots like Leonard. What do you think? I think Anthony Joshua should fight like Leonard. He needs to know how to win rounds. But in order to know how to win rounds, you have to be aware of winning or losing. And I don't think he is. I don't think Joshua, Joshua said it himself, I don't pay attention to any of that shit. But that's what I think he relies on his team, and I think he relies too much on his team. Nikki Blue Eyes Austin, good evening, Kurt. Who do you got for the Chisora Parker fight? Baby, I think Chisora beat Parker anyway. So I don't even really think it matters at this point, because first of all, I don't think they should have a redo. You know, like, I guess you're giving somebody a payday for already beating you, and I guess you're getting robbed. But, you know, yeah, he's still learning, but shit, that's good. I mean, but like, based on what Anthony Joshua is learning versus what he already knows is two different things. Shit, I mean, like, yeah, you're learning. We learn a lot. We learn every day, but that shouldn't stop him from mentally knowing, hey, let me put it on him. Now, I understand his corner was bullshitting him. His corner was bullshitting him, Victor Botta. Everybody on the chat, yeah, they were bullshitting him. Brilliant, AJ. Brilliant. It wasn't brilliant. So, I mean, he should know that. Like, Leonard knew, hey, I need to do this. You know, but yeah, the work the body, yes, that's what's going to hurt Usyk. Usyk don't like the body. But who the fuck does like the body? Neither does AJ. Neither does Fury. Neither does Wilder. They don't like the body. Nobody likes getting hit in the fucking liver, hitting the rib cage, hitting the solar plexus. Shaheed, thank you, man. Appreciate you. But I mean, this is boxing. Punches hurt, man. Yeah, corner problems. Well, I mean, shit. I mean, but do you understand how AJ looked? He had that fucking look like, dude, really? You know? The man is still gun shy because of the KO. He needs to overcome it in advance. I don't know. I don't think it was gun shy. I think Usyk made him gun shy because Usyk did not give him a solid target to punch at. It's one thing punching on a bag or on mitts, pads, whatever you want to call it, but it's another thing when you got a guy, you know, coming at you like that, almost kind of fidgety. Look, Usyk made him gun shy. Okay, here's the thing, people. Let's stop saying that shit. Let me counterpunch everybody that thinks AJ is gun shy. I'm gonna prove he ain't gun shy. You want to know how? Let me prove it to you. If AJ was gun shy, why did he unload on Pulev? If he was gun shy, we would have saw that in the Pulev fight. We would have saw that. He ain't gun shy. He knows when to throw punches. Usyk is fluky. AJ was moving his head all fight even when he didn't need to. The man was nervous. AJ was not moving his head all that fight. Every time he kept it still, that's when he'd get punched in the mouth. Why some channels do so desperate to beat Canelo? They are saying Crawford and Spence could beat Canelo at 160, 164. Well, Canelo is mainstream. Some sports channels and platforms are for the underdog. Some channels are for black fighters. Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford are black fighters. Therefore, they're going to be for those fighters. Does that make sense? Crawford too small for Canelo. Yeah, they would have to make it a catch weight. At the end, Usyk is a better fighter. That's just what it is. Chica, that's all it is. Would you stop fucking around with that thing? Go away. Kurt, you was about to be on World Star. When? You mean at the CVS? Yeah, I don't know. Some guy, he has some kind of malfunction with his van or something. And he keeps fucking with it like it's going to change. But it's not real. Who believes this crap? Usyk is feel. He is very feel, said Curtis Mall. AJ looked lost. He wasn't able to change his game plan when it wasn't working. No plan B. No plan B. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's a problem with that because he should have had a plan B. You know, but people making bullshit up, let's stop. Because the same people, it ain't even the same people. It's the same way people made excuses for Wilder when you didn't need to. You don't need to make any for Anthony Joshua. You know, Anthony Joshua's not about the excuse making. Even though he said some, they just ain't been as ridiculous as Wilder's. Punch from the gods. That was an excuse, and you look at that as an excuse because it takes credit away from what happened to him. He got the shit whacked out of him and got caught with a left hook to a point of his head that I don't think he ever got hit at. Funny how an old Pulev would be the second best win on someone's fighter's resume. Kurt, who can beat Usyk? Somebody that can knock him out. That's who could beat Usyk. Lady Shan in the other car. He used the wrong game plan. I don't know why. I mean, because he had the wrong corner. When AJ said, "Hey, you got to ask my corner," you have to ask my corner about that. We already knew what was the deal. Let me ask you this: can Spence or Crawford beat Plant? If not, how could they beat Canelo? That's not. Plant is fights in the shoulder roll. You can't apply someone defeating a fighter and apply that win to that fighter. See, we're assuming something. If Caleb Plant gets beat by Spence, if he gets beat by Terrence Crawford, that means that the only thing they have in common, the common denominator of all those three guys, Spence, Terrence Crawford, and Canelo, is Caleb Plant. But does that mean, there's many different factors, does that mean they beat him the same way? That means that, hey, that means Terrence Crawford should be able to hit him with the same punch that he hit him with, if that's the case. No, you can't look at things that black and white. There's a lot of gray areas when you have boxing. Those triangle theories don't work at all. Kurt, who is bigger, AJ Fangirl, me, Bada, or Lady Shan? I don't know. I have no idea, man. I have no idea. Andy Ruiz had a bag of Oscars powder that night. He beat AJ. Jarrell Big Baby Miller versus Alexander Usyk. That would be a good fight because Miller would try to rough up Usyk. He would shove him. He would push him. You know, yeah, you beat AJ, motherfucker. You ain't gonna beat me. You ain't gonna beat me with that fucking tip-tat shit. You ain't gonna beat me. You ain't gonna beat me. Do you agree with the scoring in Canelo versus Plant? Nope. Plant won more rounds. He at least won 4 or 5 rounds in that fight, to me. But, you know, it is what it is. But the crowd is a mother sucker. Anytime Canelo threw and landed anything, people would cheer. Plant got robbed rounds. Totally agree. I mean, the saving grace was Canelo Alvarez stole the show. He stole the show and he saved himself a controversy, because if it would have went 12 rounds, it would have been some shit like 117 to 111 or some bullshit like that. Yes, that's what we've been looking at. And then Caleb Plant would have had a moral victory, but another person that has been robbed by the power of money. If you want to know if anybody will win, follow the money a lot of times. Teddy Atlas said it best. You follow the money. There was no way Erislandy Lara was going to outpoint or win on a scorecard against Canelo Alvarez. The best thing that happened for Lara after that fight with Canelo, he made $1 million each fight for the next 6 or 7 fights until he finally got beat by Swift Hurd. But see, because of that fight though, he turned into a millionaire because he got $1 million per fight. That was a saving grace for Erislandy Lara, but he was fucking robbed. Make no mistake about it. Follow the judge's bank accounts. I know, right? No way can Big Pharmacy beat Usyk. I didn't say it could, but I just know it. The buildup would be massive. The buildup would be massive. See, when Jarrell Miller comes around, Jarrell Miller talks a lot of shit. He talked himself into the biggest payday he ever had and fucked it all up because he was a dirty, juiced up ass fighter. And it's sad. He fucked him. See, why would you talk all that shit and not be even really in a position to even take that blessing? It's bad. Kurt, even I know Lady Shan is the biggest AJ pole dancer. But Lady Shan's, she's a female. Women love the opposite, Kurt, who wins? Juggernaut versus Frank Sanchez. Ooh, that's a good fight because, see, I think Joe would put Frank in situations where he's not accustomed to. Because, see, Joe will come at Frank. And Frank, I don't think, would have that in and out shit. May not work with someone that's constantly applying pressure. He's faster, his speed. I think he's a better boxer, Frank is, but will he be able to get in and out and move like that with a guy like that? That's the question. They are still refusing to release the Miller versus AJ gloves are off interview. Must be gold. Well, because AJ lost the rap battle. That's what that was. But dude, when they drop it, I will put it on my page. Absolutely. Sanchez not known in the UK. No, he's not. But it is what it is. Joshua would have hurt Miller bad. I don't know, because if something was wrong with Anthony Joshua, he probably would have got knocked out by Miller. Think about it. And see, Miller probably would have just mauled. If he would have hurt Joshua, he would have talked more shit. Yeah, I told you he was a phony. I told all you motherfuckers, you Brits, all y'all motherfuckers. I told y'all he was a phony, and I knocked his ass out. I knew. He probably got a little pecker. Like I told my mom. My mom was after him. You after this bum? I'm the real man now. I'm the unified heavyweight champion. I'm bringing it back home, baby. Brooklyn in the house. He'd be talking so much shit, man. Look. Well, I can't wait. When the gloves are off, when they release it, I will release it. When you see it there, you'll see it here. AJ went in the fight with a concussion, but how come not many people spoke about it? Well, I mean, people spoke about the possible concussion, the way he acted, the way he looked. He didn't look right when he walked into the ring. That was the difference. You know what I mean? So, like, he didn't look well. He looked like he was fucked up, like something was wrong. I mean, I didn't contest it. I mean, I reported it. But what happened? He got beat. He still got his ass whooped regardless of how he was. He went in there and got whooped. Kurt, Mr. T. I don't care. I'll pit a fool to come in there with a concussion. I'll knock his ass out. AJ, it ain't the way. I'll knock his ass out either way. Have they checked Joyce to make sure he ain't T2000 from the future? I don't think they have. Joyce has a chin of iron. Even Miller's co-promoter, that Sarah, she even leaked in the interview saying that he was more pissed off and Miller popped dirty. Yeah, well, because they already knew if something was wrong with him, they knew from the circuits of secrecy, people are still going to talk. Even because it wasn't mainstream, didn't mean they didn't know about it. And they didn't know about it because, people, like, people didn't supposed to know that. They didn't want that type of information leaked. But if they knew about it, Jarrell Miller, why do you think Jarrell Miller was so pissed off? He was so pissed off because he knew that could have been me. I knew that motherfucker had a concussion. All I had to do was hit him one good time to disembobulate him, to reactivate, to add insult to injury on that concussion, and that was that. Kurt, prediction for Loma versus Lopez. Loma versus Lopez too. That won't happen. That will not happen. Joshua performs against people who pisses him off. No selfies. Yeah. So let's see what happens. Kurt, what's happening? You eating Whataburger today? Nah, Phil. Nah, man. I think I'm going to get some fish today. Now, you know what? I think Loma beats Lopez in the second fight. And I think that fight was harder than they really admitted. That's why I think they hide behind the fact that because he didn't get the rematch clause, which it is his fault, but I think they amplify that too much. Capital 2 times. Teofimo is for real. Yeah, he's for real. And he really beat Loma. But it wasn't the type of win that you should run off in the sunset thinking I'm the fucking best, because in spots, he got beat the fuck up. He didn't leave that shit unscathed. He didn't knock out Loma. He didn't do the things he said he was going to do to Loma. He just outworked him because Loma's inactivity. You know what I mean? What do I think about the Rolly drama? I don't know, man. I don't really know about Rolly and that bullshit, I don't know who wants what. Mayweather really needs to come in with some real fights. And he's not going to do that unless he starts collaborating with other promoters. And then, because he's not going to create people that are going to be stars. That's not going to happen. We already have the stars that made their face known, their reputation known in the sport and in the weight class. So he's not going to do that. Yeah, exactly. Jim Brown, he didn't dominate. He just won. So if he fought Loma again, and Loma's supposed to have been injured, by the way, but then that goes back to his the arrogancy. Why if you knew you were injured, why wouldn't you at least put a rematch clause in the contract, knowing you were hurt? See, that's the shit you think about. That's just arrogance. And then it's a 50-50 with me. Because I can understand Teofimo saying, you know what, fuck you. You should have put, being the A side, you should have put a rematch clause in the contract. Since you didn't do that, since you thought that your shit didn't stink that much, right? Well, I don't have to fight you. And guess what? I'm not going to fight you. But see, making that decision, not fighting Loma, it might sound good, but I don't think it's a good career choice for Teofimo. I don't. I think at the end of the day, for Teofimo, he should have took that fight, got about 10 mil to fight that guy that he claims that he can beat so much. If you can claim you can beat him, be Lopez versus Loma 2, and get the lion's share of the fucking money. Get $10 million from Bob Arum. Bob Arum would pay for it. He would up that money. He would guarantee and he would secure that amount of money for Teofimo and his father. They would become multimillionaires, and then he can do the thing that he supposedly easily done the first time. Right? And he's Teofimo, and look, he's still young. And it just shows you what's the deal with Loma that you don't want to fight this guy again. Repeat and get paid a massive amount of money for it. Hey, Kurt, counterpunch to you, man. Are you having a stream tonight on Munguia versus Rosado? Kevin Lopez, I am. I'm going to eat first. I'm about to jump off of here, but I'm going to eat first, and then we're going to get it on at 8 o'clock Central Time. Yeah, I'd like to see a rematch. A lot of people want to see a rematch. His father wanted to see a rematch between fighting Loma. And he know that because he knew Loma did a cleanup job on what's the Japanese fighter? I forget his name. A lot easier than he did, right? So I think that warranted. See, Loma redeemed himself. What if Loma goes and knocks out Comey faster than he did? You know, all Lopez could say, oh, he's fighting my leftovers. Okay, well, the only reason you're anything is because you won against Loma. That was the beginning. You know, you got to win on Lomachenko. Why don't you retire Lomachenko? That's more of it, because Lomachenko ain't went nowhere. See, you need to make a better, I think Teofimo needs to make a better impact on beating Loma than that. See, if he would have retired Loma by knocking him out cold, then you could say, oh man, Teofimo is a bad mother sucker. But he can't say that. He's just a guy that won due to a guy that didn't really do what he could have done. That's how I look at it. I mean, that's not calling me a Teo hater, because you do have a lot of dick riders out here. You got a lot of people, man. They're fanboys and they don't know reasoning. And I just gave you all the reason why Teofimo should fight Loma again. Yeah, he should have. He's at Teo's mercy, but Teo's not smart, because Teo needs to understand this is going to be the biggest amount of money that he ever made for any fight. He should understand that. So just being petty about something that someone's supposed to did versus getting yours, that's just dumb. It doesn't even make sense. That's, you know what I mean? Like, why would you, yes, he shouldn't have done that, but that means, well, I'm going to take less money fighting someone else than fighting the guy that I could fight that made me. Come on, man. That doesn't make any sense. So, you know, but the reality of it is he's being petty, and it's not an easier task than he says it is. So let's just be real. But anyway, Chisora, back to Chisora, Parker. I think Chisora will win again, unless he doesn't gas out, unless he doesn't get old overnight, because he could get old overnight. And if that happens, Parker could take control. But that doesn't, and that shouldn't steal what happened the first time. Chisora was robbed, people. He was robbed, and that's that. Chisora beat Parker. Parker's young enough. Hopefully he can change and show anything. But if the fight goes the exact same way and they give him the nod again, I will be more disappointed in Parker, because Parker wasn't able to do anything new to an older, aging fighter like Derek Chisora. So he would still lose credit, and he wouldn't get fights anyway, because really nobody wants a has-been, especially if a guy can't finish an older fighter. But that's my counterpunch on that, guys. It was good hanging out with you for 2 hours. Parker needs redemption. Yeah, he does need redemption. Everybody on the chat, I hope you guys stay blessed, be nice, be cool, and everybody has been counterpunched. And I'll see you guys tonight for Rosado and Munguia. Until then, peace.